and welcome to another episode of the Vegan Pulse. I am your host, Nancy Arenas. My guest today is Dr. Sailesh Rao. He is the founder and executive director of Climate Healers, a nonprofit dedicated to healing the Earth's climate. Dr. Rao is the author of Carbon Dharma, The Occupation of Butterflies, and Carbon Yoga, The Vegan Metamorphosis. He is executive producer of The Human Experiment, Cowspiracy, The Sustainability Secret, What the Health, and A Prayer for Compassion. Dr. Rao is a human, earth, and animal liberation activist, a dad, a husband, and since 2010, a star-struck grandfather. Stick around. I'd like to introduce him to you. Hi, Selesh.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to have you on the show, so thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. I want to ask you, what is our climate position right now? What's happening?
Well, we are in a very critical position. We are triggering a lot of positive feedback loops, and they are liable to just take us to a hothouse Earth if we don't do something about this. So we are literally in the next few years, maybe in the next 1 to 2, 3 years, we have to completely change our lifestyle. And we have to start becoming healers and then caretakers of the planet, as opposed to just living on the planet as if we own it and we can do what we want. Because
I was going to say, how do we give birth to a caretaker species mentality?
Yeah, we have done this before. You see, this is the thing about human beings, is that we are the only species on the planet that's gone from being a prey to a predator. Okay, so we were a prey species because we really don't run too fast, we don't climb too well, we cannot smell too well, we don't hear too well, we don't see too well. We are a very ordinary species in that perspective. And so we were a very easy prey for a lot of predators. And this forced us to use the materials on Earth to create weapons and, develop a technology so that we can become more powerful, so we can protect ourselves. And so soon we became a predator species from a prey species. So we're the only species that has gone through this transformation from a prey to a predator. And as a predator species, we have now become the top predator on the planet, and we're literally killing off the planet so we can do what we want. We are so powerful. Now we are called to become a caretaker species. So from a prey to a predator to a caretaker, or climate caretaker. So we have the role now to maintain the climate on the planet so that it supports life for all life. So that's our job. That's our role if you want to take it. If we don't take it consciously, we're going to die.
I see. I remember that you were here a couple of years ago. We had to speak here, and you talked about how you were kind of an environmentalist, and then you took a look at your granddaughter, and all of a sudden things changed for you. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, as an environmentalist, if you are really working on the environment, you will get depressed. So I was pretty depressed after 4 years of working on the environment. I thought there's nothing I could do as an individual, and we were just going to go down the toilet bowl and sink, go away. And then when my granddaughter was born, I held her in my arms for the first time when she was a month old, and I had this feeling of perfection. So she convinced me just by smiling at me that she belongs exactly as she is, and that we all belong exactly as we are, and that we are not telling the right story. See, when we tell the right story and we start playing the right game, we can coordinate our actions to do the right thing. So far, we are playing a game of Monopoly in which more and more goes to fewer and fewer people. And we are telling a story in which we don't belong. We are the top predators and we're going to kill everything off. And so we need to change our stories and change our story to a story in which we do belong exactly as we are as a species. And with the technologies that we have created, we now have the ability to become a conscious caretaker species of the planet. And so she convinced me to just change my outlook on life, and I really tell her that she brought me to faith.
And I'm very excited about your project, Vegan by 2026. I'm all for it. I'm signed up. So tell us a little bit about that and how we can make that happen.
Yeah, going vegan is really at the foundation of becoming a caretaker species. Uh, it without that foundation, you won't have a new game or a new story in which we can thrive, right? So, currently with our animal agriculture, we are literally destroying the planet. It's the number one reason why we are destroying the planet, not just from a climate perspective, from every other perspective too. So, so it's the foundation of the current system of normalized violence that we are in. So we need to create a system of normal non-violence in which we ordinary people live their ordinary lives and the planet thrives as a result of that. And we can create a game like that, and that has to be based on a vegan foundation. So my granddaughter basically put me against the wall and said, when are you going to get it done by? Right? Literally, that's what happened. So when she was 6 years old, I was reading a story to her in bed. And then at the end of the story, she asked me, Grandpa, who are the first human beings? So I tried to explain to her how evolution works. So I said, imagine that you're standing on the street and you're holding your mother by your hand. And you ask your mother to bring her mother to stand by her side and so on. And you create a long line of mothers on this side of the street. And on the other side of the street, you ask a chimpanzee to do the same thing with her mother and her grandmother and so on. By the time these two lines go from Phoenix to Tucson, they would merge. There'll be only one single line because both lines are going to say, oh, that's my mother too. Immediately she sat up in bed and she said, what? Are you telling me that animals are my family? And I'd never put it that way. I never thought of it that way, but she immediately got it. So I said, yeah, now that you put it that way, they are your family. And she said, then why are people eating my family? Grandpa, make them stop. She started bawling, right? Make them stop. She started naming names of all the people she knows who are eating her family. And I told her, Kimaya, this is what I do. I'm trying. This is what I do every day. It's my job to make them stop. And she stopped crying immediately. And she looked at me wide-eyed and she said, this is your job? This is your job? You haven't done your job. When will you do your job? And I said, we have to do it by 2026. Otherwise, we are all in big trouble. Okay, because we are on track to wipe out almost all wild vertebrates by 2026. So that number was in my head when I was talking to her. So I said, we have to do it by 2026. Otherwise, we are all in big trouble. And she said immediately, will you promise me that? I said, okay, I'll promise you that. Will you give me a pinky promise? I said, okay, I'll give you a pinky promise. And then she said, you can never, ever break a pinky promise. And then she went to sleep. Okay. And that started the Vegan World 2026 project. And at first I thought, who am I to do it? Right? Who am I to take on this work? Who am I to tell people we have to have a Vegan World by 2026? But the next morning I woke up realizing that I was the one that has to do it because I'm an engineer. I'm a systems engineer. And it's a job of engineers to make things happen, to bring things to fruition, to set an intention out there and to get it done. So that's how the project started, and it's been now almost more than 3 years, and it's going well. I really see the COVID-19 as the chrysalis phase for humanity, where we have to think about what are we going to become when we come out of this phase. And
Right.
The more we try to get out without doing our homework, the COVID is going to put us back in the chrysalis, which is what it's doing.
Yeah, and you think that hopefully COVID makes people think about what they're consuming, what they're ingesting, and how we're treating animals. And if, they are complaining about being in lockdown for, these past 3 months, imagine for the rest of our lives, because we continue to do this and then destroy the world. And then there is no normal world as we have known it in the past. So yeah, so I am obviously always advocating for veganism. Funny that your granddaughter said that about they're my family. I made a speech that said meet my other family, which was all about
Mm.
animals. And I just love the fact that you did that pinky swear.
Yeah.
And I am here to support you and support all other vegans who want to help join you and this whole project for the whole of the earth, the animals and humans. You know, people forget that we're also fighting for humans and their health.
Mhm. Absolutely. It's for not just our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health. Everything will improve when we stop hurting animals unnecessarily, and deliberately. That's what we're doing right now.
Well,
So,
yeah. Well, I thank you for being on the show. I surely appreciate you and what you do. Say thank you to your granddaughter for getting you on that path as
right.
well and keeping you to it. And again, hopefully, not hopefully, we will have vegan by 2026.
Oh, yes. I have a promise to keep, and I intend to do everything in my power to keep it. Thank you very much for
Thank
having me.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching another episode of the Vegan Pulse. I am your host, Nancy Arenas. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, check out our blog. See you next time. Remember, if you have a pulse, you have a purpose. Live vegan.